Good morning. I want to welcome everybody to this meeting of the Government Contracts Committee review. We do have a quorum, so I would ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Senator Meredith,
Present.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bauman, Representative McCool, Representative Rourks,
Here.
Representative Hart,
Here.
Representative Petrie,
Here.
Chairman Douglas.
Present. Thank you very much. Again, we do have the quorum. The first item on the agenda is consideration of the minutes of June 9 meeting of this committee. Is there a motion to be considered as being approved?
So moved. Second.
All right. I have a motion by Senator Meredith and a second by Co-Chair Hart. Motion carries. Okay.
Roll call. You can take vote on it.
No. Do we? Oh, no. My bad. We need to take a roll call on that. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bauman, Representative McCool, Representative Rourks,
Yes.
Representative Hart,
Yes.
Chair Douglas.
Aye. The motion carries. Motion carries. Total number of items on the agenda today are 2,229 contracts in the amount of $3,323,338,787.87. All the vendors are registered with the Secretary of State's office. Next is the deferred list from June 2026 agenda. The first item is with personal office of the Secretary. It is item 167 on the June routine personal services contract green list. If the representatives are here, please have your seats, and you're already here. If you would, and I ask everyone to pull their microphones a little closer to them. Press a button, make sure the green light is actually on. Before we get started, we have a number of items on the list today. So I'm going to ask everyone to be succinct in their answers. I will interrupt you if you start going off the path. I don't want to do that. So I would ask everyone not to force me to do that today. The questions will be pretty simple. We'll be asking again for succinct answers so that we can make sure that we are moving on. The members of this committee are very competent, and they do read ahead of time. So we're not asking for answers so that you can convince us how we should move. We're asking for answers simply for information, so that possibly we can integrate that with what we already know and make the best decisions for the people of the Commonwealth. It is not meant to embarrass anyone. It is not meant to cause anyone to be uncomfortable. But we all have jobs to do. So I would ask that. Yeah, yes. Senator Thomas.
Yes, Mr. Chair, where's the red list? I don't see a red list in my package.
It's deferred. It's the deferred list.
It is the deferred list. It should be to your right.
It's an issue that's going to be in your letters.
Are you sure? Because I would think it would be in this file here. It's because it's a white sheet. While Senator Thomas is looking, if you would, please introduce yourselves for the record.
My name is Robert Long. I'm Deputy Secretary of the Personnel Cabinet and General Counsel.
My name is Donna Shelton. I'm Staff Assistant with the Office of Employee Relations.
Thank you very much for being here this morning. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Senator Thomas, did you find it?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
With that being said, I believe Senator Meredith has some questions.
I do, Mr. Chair. Thank you. First, this contract's listed at approximately $50 million, but that's a little bit misleading in that includes funds for payment of workers' compensation claims as well, correct?
Correct. About a little over 48 million, I think, is for claims.
So what's the exact administrative expense associated with this contract?
I think it's not to exceed 1.45 million per fiscal year.
1.45?
Yes, sir.
How those funds disbursed?
We are billed for the services that are rendered based on a payment schedule that's set forth in the contract.
So that they get their monthly administrative fee, is that based on the number of claims that are processed, or how's that work?
So the pricing is provided for in the contract, on page 6 of the contract. Claims management fee is $44 per open claim per month. Medical only investigation one-time flat fee of $102. Indemnity claim investigation, a flat fee of $459. And so there's a large, approximately 23 point fee schedule based on which service is being provided, and then it's a per service billing. We're billed per service.
I'm sorry to be this elementary, but I need to understand this. So each month, theoretically, you receive a bill from this company saying, here's our administrative fee, and here's the claims to be paid.
I believe we get a bill effectively saying, here are the open claims on which we are billing an administrative fee. Here are the other services that have been rendered attached to each particular claim, whether that be legal services, case management services, investigative services, and so forth. And we are billed specifically for the work done.
Well, again, I'm trying to tie back. If the administrative fee is 1.45 million a year, it's $50 million contract. I'm trying to figure out where's this additional cash flow, where's it go, how's it handled? And I'm not picturing that.
The 1.45 million is not a guaranteed amount that they get. They're paid, that is an up to amount.
Right.
They bill us for the actual services that are rendered, and we pay only for those services
Okay, so
that are priced in the contract.
but the contract's
the-
50 million, so where's the other 48?
48 million is there to pay medical claims that are approved for payment to people who have made valid workers' compensation claims.
Well, that's the question I'm trying to ask is once they have approved that, then do you write them a separate check for 48, or do those 48 million go to the provider, or how's that funding dispersed?
I believe that, I mean, I may have to defer to to Donna over here, but that ultimately we pay the provider. It's not necessarily dispersed, or I guess it can be. Sometimes the claimant or the person making the workers' comp claim may have had to front the funds, and so they may be reimbursed. But I think the goal is often to try to pay for the medical services directly to the provider.
Okay, but that's done through the cabinet, not done through this company. They're just saying, here's what you should pay.
I don't believe that's.
We get a monthly disbursement indicating that the costs that they have paid to medical providers, to employees for their indemnity benefits, or to other providers, and then we reimburse the TPA for the charges that they have paid through that month.
You know, it's different what you said earlier. So they do. You get a two-part bill, so to speak. Administrative portion, claims to be paid portion.
Yes,
But that's not a prepaid amount. It's based on the actual claims experience that they say is justifiable.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at. How many companies responded to an RFP for this service?
5.
And what were the range of the bids?
I have the scoring. I don't have the like, again, the pricing is very detailed, number of different types of services. I don't have the details of each bid, but I have the overall score. the possible points for that were awarded in the open RFP in 2024 was 22,500 points. CCMSI was the highest point scorer with 19,762. The closest second person was 3,152 points below CCSMSI in the evaluation.
Well, with all due respect, that doesn't have any value to me because we're supposed to determine whether the services that we're purchasing are fair compensation. So let me ask another, was this the lowest bid?
I believe they were the second lowest in cost and evaluated in the score.
And that seems to be a history of this company, that they're never the lowest bid, but they always get the bid based on the scorecard, which is bothersome to me because we don't know what the criteria are that these proposals are weighed against. And this company has a history. It's not a good history. And I'm not convinced that we're getting the best value for our dollars. And I've been protesting this since 2020 because at that time they did not have the high bid, and they were coming off a period of time where their unregistered lobbyist was convicted for bribing cabinet officials, which I'm sure you're very aware of, to get the bid. They did not have the low bid, and the question was asked, how do we get the contract? And the response was,
I mean, that's not exactly accurate. I mean, the lobbyist that was associated with this company was charged and acquitted of all wrongdoing with related to this contract. There is no allegation or proof or evidence whatsoever that any wrongdoing was done ever in the procurement of this contract. This administration has, due in large parts to the concerns of this committee, twice put this out for open bid and competitive bid, strictly following 45A's rules and regulations. Those bids are public, the criteria is published, and has been done through an open and competitive process to get the best value and overall best services for the Commonwealth.
I don't know how you can argue that nothing was done inappropriately when someone went to prison over this.
Respectfully, not over this, over other actions that they were convicted for. The charges related,
I can read some of the deposition for you if you'd like me to say that they were acting on behalf of this company. And as a result, this company was charged with 14 ethics violations.
I'm aware, and I also have the settlement that was reached by the Ethics
settlement.
Commission that were ultimately found basically that the basic resolution of that 14 counts was that the no express wrongdoing was found. The CCMSI was
Well, I
found
would say
to
that's
have
not
reasonably
correct either.
relied on the misrepresentations of their lobbyists, who were found to have acted in good faith, but nonetheless were responsible for some of the actions of the lobbyists and agreed to a civil fine. But there was no specific bar or punishment. That it was all agreed to. And then in the criminal prosecution, there was no finding whatsoever that impacted this contract. Trust me that we very much are concerned, have similar concerns, and have taken the concerns of this committee to heart, and as such have put it out to open bid twice, attempting and every time being extra careful to remove political influence, ensure that it was merit employees, gotten employees who were outside of the cabinet to represent on the scoring team to try to ensure that we're getting the overall best value for the Commonwealth.
And they've never been the low bid.
I don't know. I mean, they've been the vendor
wonder
since
what the
2005. I don't know what they've
Well,
been
I
since
wonder what the
2005.
value of the bid process is if the low bidder never receives the contract. And again, with the history of this company, and just because you weren't found guilty of an ethics violation doesn't mean that they're guiltless. I mean, why would you pay a $50,000 fine if you've done nothing wrong? So there must be some substance there. But I also remind you that back, I think it was 2022 or 24, when we renewed this contract, a representative from this company came to my office and threatened to sue me personally if their contract was not renewed. And the reaction of the cabinet at that time was, "Oh, that's your word against theirs," even though I had two witnesses that were present when that threat was made, and that was totally discounted.
Senator, I'm unaware of that allegation, and again, the procurement
Well, I was
process is
told,
governed
this
by
my word
statute.
against theirs, even though I had two witnesses there, and his exact words, "We're going to sue you if this contract is not renewed." So I think, given the history
I'm
of
not
this,
disagreeing with you, Senator. I don't have any knowledge of that. I can't disagree with you, and I'm not arguing with you. Ultimately, though, the procurement is done following the law through the 45A. And if that and those, the contract is, the RFP is published publicly, and there is a mechanism by which to provide that information to the cabinet for consideration. So I can't tell you whether it was considered or not considered because I honestly do not know. But I don't discount what you've said. And I can assure you that we have very much taken into account the concerns of this committee, and this is why we have not just systematically, repeatedly renewed, but instead have done an open procurement in 2020. Even though there were continued renewals that were available to us, we did not take those renewals and put it back out for open bid in 2024. At this point, we are on a renewal from that. There is no increase in costs whatsoever on the administrative side for us, so that we are avoiding inflationary concerns. At this point, we feel like it's the best thing to proceed with the renewal.
how do you know they're doing a good job?
Well, we have our data, and they are the claims. Please help me here, but they are the claim administration is subject to audit by our auditors, and they get a clean audit.
I'm not sure what the criteria is for that either, because obviously the longer they hold a claim open, the more money they're going to make. So how do we test that parameter? And I've heard that's a complaint of this company, is that they hold claims too long.
I don't know. I have not had that. I have not personally received that complaint.
Well,
I have not either.
Going back to the contract that was in question back in 2016, they were not the low bid again. They came back, they revised their bid because they knew they weren't the low bid. Who provided them with that information that they were not the low bid? And
I have
why
no
would they
idea.
have to come back into the?
I have no idea. I was not involved with the
process.
person. Not in any way involved in that procurement. No, I don't believe Adana was either. Ms. Shelton and I weren't involved. In fact, it wasn't part of this administration. It was a totally different leadership team.
Well, it's just my personal opinion that the Commonwealth of Kentucky and the citizens of the state have been fleeced under this kind of a relationship. And I don't know why we want to do business with any company that has this type of history and that have a representative that would come to a legislator's office and threaten them with litigation if their contract's renewed. I don't know why we want to do business with someone like that. So to that end, until the day I die or whichever, or I leave the office here, I'll be against this contract, Mr. Chairman. But I don't want to belabor the point. To that end, I'll make a motion to disapprove this contract.
There's been a motion made to disapprove the contract. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Co-Chair Hart. The motion on the floor is for disapproval. I will get to you, Senator, but right now we have a motion on the floor. The motion on the floor is disapproval of contract 167 on the routine PSC green list from June. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas,
Mr. Chair, first of all, I have some readiness about this. I mean, we've just had one member of the committee speak and inquire. I mean, we haven't had all members have the opportunity to inquire about this.
Well, but Senator Thomas, a motion was put on the floor, and according to the rules, we have to address the motion. If you would like to vote on this motion and then explain your vote, you may do that, sir.
Well, the motion is to disapprove. I vote nay because I don't have enough information to say that this bidder should be disqualified. I would like to be able to question the parties before us and ascertain whether anything was done improperly. So I don't have enough information right now to say this bid should be disqualified. So therefore, I vote no.
Representative Bauman, Representative McCool, Representative Rourke?
No.
Representative Hart?
Yes.
Chair Douglas?
Aye. Folks, the vote's 5-2. The contract has been disapproved. I thank you for your time this morning,
Thank you.
and I thank you for the information.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next item on the deferred list is with Western Kentucky University, and it is number 285 on the June routine personal services contract green list. Are the vendors? The vendors are still not registered with the Secretary of State's office, and because they're not registered, do we have a motion to defer the contract until the August 2026 meeting of this committee?
I'll make a motion to defer.
I have a motion to defer by Co-Chair Hart.
Second.
I have a second by Senator Meredith. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith?
Aye.
Senator Richardson? Senator Thomas?
Question, Mr. Chair, you said they're not registered?
They're still not registered with the Secretary of State's office.
All right, then I vote aye.
Representative Bauman? Representative McCool?
Yes.
Representative Rourke?
Aye.
Representative Hart?
Yes.
Chairman Douglas?
Aye. Motion carries. This contract will be deferred until our August 2026 meeting. Next order of business is consideration of the agenda, including the personal services contract list, the personal services contract amendment list, the memorandum of agreement list, the memorandum of agreement amendment list, the Kentucky Entertainment Incentive Program agreement list, the deferred list, the corrections list, except for those items that were selected for further review. Do I have a motion to consider these previous contracts that we've mentioned?
Motion approved.
Okay, I have a motion by Senator Meredith. I have a second by Co-Chair Hart. All those in favor say aye. All those no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith?
Aye.
Senator Richardson? Senator Thomas? Representative Bauman? Representative McCool?
Yes.
Representative Rourke?
Aye.
Representative Hart?
Yes.
Chairman Douglas?
As we move forward, the first items on the list is from the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, Office of the Secretary. They are number 52 through 55 and number 61 of the routine personal services contract green list. The representatives are here. They are making their way to the table. If extra chairs are needed, you certainly can pull them up. Now, again, as I always say, I like to have the microphones pulled up so that we can hear you. Make sure that the green light is actually on. If you would please introduce yourselves for the record.
Stephen Stack, Secretary of the Cabinet.
Astrid Masterson, Office of Administrative Services.
Okay. If you would, please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My initial questions, let me grab my question list. Got papers all over my desk up here. They were primarily, when I look at contracts 52 through 55, these contracts are for medical staffing. Could you help me and help other people sitting on this committee understand why we are having to go out of state to find companies that are going to staff for our people of the Commonwealth?
Well, sure, Mr. Chair. So maybe I'd start this way. It is widespread and normative practice across the healthcare industry to have to rely on staffing companies to fill vacancies or voids you cannot otherwise fill. So this happens in hospitals and clinics, all over the healthcare system. We're not immune to that. So we have those same needs for some of our services. Then when we go to market to get those outside services, we have to use 45A and we have to do competitive procurement. And when we do that, companies who are registered or operate primarily out of a different state or locale are eligible competitors. So we go through the 45A process and then we get a result, and that's how we get these companies. And so it's not a preference for it or a non-preference for it. It's just the 45A process for allowing competitive procurement.
Would you happen to have any idea how many companies actually submitted bids for these contracts?
I do not. This was bid in 2021 by the Finance Cabinet. It is up for bid in 2028, and that's when we will play a role in the actual RFP. So I would be able to answer it after then, but I do not have that information for you today.
Is there any way that you might, your office might be able to provide that?
Sure,
I hope that's
sure.
not too much of an inconvenience,
No,
but I would
we'll
really
work on
like
that.
to know.
Sure.
Okay. Were there any other questions by anyone else on the committee? Okay. I look forward to getting that information. I think we'll take these in take little bites at a time. Do I have a motion to consider contracts 52 through 55? Okay. Reviewed without objection.
I'll move to approve.
Okay. I have a motion by Co-Chair Hart. Do I have a second? I'll do a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll. And this is for contracts 52 through 55.
Senator Meredith.
Aye.
Senator Richardson. Senator Thomas. Representative Bauman. Representative McCool.
Yes.
Representative Rourks.
Yes.
Representative Hart.
Yes.
Chairman Douglas.
Aye. Thank you all very much. This motion carries. I also have a question from Senator Meredith regarding number 61.
Mr. Chair, if I could, I'd like to group these together, 61 and 67, and I don't know that I've got questions as much as I'm going to present a statement. And Secretary Stack, I'm not trying to be difficult about this, but this is a continuation contract for 6 months. I understand that, but the charge of this committee is to make sure that whatever service we purchase could not have been performed by people within the cabinet. And without knowing the specifics of these contracts and how they're going to be used, can't do that. In the same token, we have to determine whether the exchange of resources is appropriate for the services rendered. Again, without knowing the specific contracts for each of these companies that have been listed here, I can't answer that question either. So I got two responsibilities that we have that I can't fulfill. And my recommendation for both these contracts is that we not approve them. But you know how this game works. We'll be overridden by the Finance Cabinet anyway, but I don't know how we fulfill our responsibilities with the limited information that we have related to these. So it's more of a procedural thing for me. But again, if it's my motion to disapprove is approved by this committee, I'm confident that the Finance Cabinet, as you will overrule this committee. So, Mr. Chair, that's my position on these contracts.
We had a question, at least that was to be asked prior to you making the statement about disapproval of the contract. And when we have our conversation about the disapproval, we're only looking at 61 at this particular time because we have 67 that we will address shortly after this. Out of respect, I'm going to give Senator Thomas a little bit of time to make a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make sure I have a chance to speak before we rush to a vote. In light of Senator Burris' question, my question then goes back to Dr. Stack. Dr. Stack, can you go into some details why you need number 61? I mean, let's hear your side of why this was put out to bid.
And if you could, make those details succinct.
Yes.
Thank you.
I just say one of the criticisms government gets is it's too slow, it's too sluggish, it's not responsive, it can't get stuff done, right? The legislature passes bills and gives us 60, 90-day timelines to do things. You know, we have to be able to move quickly for things. And some things, even if we take 9 months or a year to do it, it could take longer still, you know. So we need to use outside expertise that we could never possibly source internal to our own staff. That's actuaries, auditors, it's detailed technical stuff. Like if we're talking about the public health lab, which has high complexity medical laboratory, we may need very specialized services for a very short period of time or for an ongoing period of time to fulfill, like in the case of Medicaid, actuarial services. We're not going to be able to employ a whole team of actuaries and do that work. So we have to use consultants. That's the first part. The second part is when we do a full RFP for each individual one of these things, 45A takes a very long time to go through a whole process, requires creating a scoring committee. There's a lot that goes into it. And as you guys scrutinize these contracts, sometimes you result in unintended consequences. You get the scoring methodology is followed dutifully, and you get to difficult outcomes. So what we've done here, and this was done years ago under my predecessor, I think it's worked very well for us. Notwithstanding Senator Meredith, I hear what you're saying. We procure a corral, if you will, of vendors. And the reason we had to do a 6-month renewal is we had so many vendors apply. It's a very robust competitive field. And then we build this corral that the whole market has the opportunity to be part of. We select a group of vendors, and then we have a streamlined process internally where we still have to give all those vendors the opportunity to compete for everything we want to do with a consultant. But they have to work against an approved fee schedule and an approved structure that's in this procurement. But it's a simplified, more efficient process. So it really helps the executive branch in running a very large portfolio of activities, have access to the marketplace we need to while fully complying with 45A, while giving the full market the opportunity to compete, and for a time-limited period. So it has really helped with our administration and execution of programs. But I also respect what Senator Meredith is saying is you're just saying, well, I'd like to see each individual discrete item so that I can perform my oversight role. I respect that. I also know, having been on large boards of trustees, multiple times over the last multiple decades, this is an ongoing challenge just with management and governance, trying to set that calibration about what management would say it needs to actually do the work for what governance says it needs to do its oversight. And so I don't offer a disagreement, Senator, just there's a tension there. It's always there in these structures. And we feel that this has really helped enhance the operations of the cabinet.
Senator Meredith, you had a follow-up?
I do, and Dr. Stack, I don't want you to feel like you're being picked upon because I've raised this same challenge with other groups such as University of Kentucky specifically. Yeah. We receive about requests for $300 million in contracts, for consulting contracts, without knowing any specificity of what those are going to be used for. And again, reading verbatim from the statute, it says our job is to examine the state in need of service for benefit of the Commonwealth and examine the appropriateness of an exchange of resource or responsibilities. Again, based on the information I have here, I can't do that. And what if one of those studies that BNASA conducted may be something like to measure the number of wing flaps per pound of birdseed? The general public's going to say, why did you do that? I said, well, I didn't know. Well, you should have known. And that's where it causes problems for us. But if I had any objection to these contracts at all, it would be some of the vendors on here I don't have a lot of confidence in because I don't think we've gotten value for our money in the past, but I don't want to get in that argument today. We can do that in the future. But again, to fulfill my responsibility and obligation as a legislator in this committee, see my objection, I can't approve this based on the information that I have available.
No, I respect that.
Thank you, Senator Meredith. Now that we've done that, the motion that is actually on the floor is for disapproval of contract 61. Did I hear a second? I don't hear a second, so that motion fails. Therefore, the motion that is on the floor now is for consideration of the contract to be reviewed without objection. Do I hear a motion for that? Okay. I hear from Senator Thomas and Representative Rourke. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith,
I'll explain my no vote, Mr. Chair.
Proceed.
Again, if this motion does fail, obviously, these contracts will go to Finance Cabinet anyway. And as I stated earlier, regardless of what the motion and action of this committee is, the final decision is going to rest with Finance Cabinet. So it's kind of a moot point, but I'm a no.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bauman, Representative McCool,
Yes.
Representative Rourke,
Aye.
Representative Hart,
No.
Chairman Douglas.
I'm going to say aye. With that being said, the motion carries. Thank you very much for your succinct answers. We really, really appreciate that. I know the people of the Commonwealth appreciate that, because when we do that, we actually stay in the realm of things that they're going to be able to follow. I think one of the things that has happened in the past, and I think it happens with all legislators, all general assemblies, and has terribly happened at the federal level, is we lose track of accountability, and we lose track of those who really are willing to take responsibility. We just sort of let things go because, after all, nobody really understands. Please understand that one of the things that we're trying to do here on this contract committee, in line with what Senator Meredith has already said constitutionally our responsibilities are, is to make sure that we are really serving our public, not serving our government. It's not our job. It's not our job to serve the government. It's our job to serve the public. And with that being said, we need to be really, really diligent about not allowing what we are allowed to go outside the path of where we are supposed to be in serving our public. So I always ask people, don't take this personal. You know, we were elected to do a job, and with all due respect, there's a huge difference between those who are elected and those who are appointed, and that's not to minimize any responsibilities, but there is a difference in our accountabilities. So, but thank you so very much. The next item on the pulled list is with the Department for Medicaid Services. They are number 67, number 70, and number 73 on the routine personal services contract green list. So do we have the same people who are going to be here? Okay. With that being said, again, I always repeat this. Make sure the microphone's closed. Make sure the green light is on. If you want to introduce yourself for the record, please.
Be happy to. Good morning, Veronica Judy Cecil, Senior Deputy Commissioner for the Department for Medicaid Services.
Thank you very much. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. With that being said, Senator Meredith, I'd like you to further address, if you'd like, Contract 67, also 70 and 73.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The issues are a little bit different for each of these. On 67 specifically, my objection is the same as I presented with contracts under 61, which were just approved. Again, I don't know what the services are going to be used for. I don't know what the price tag is for each of these consulting services. And inability to fulfill my constitutional responsibility related to these contracts, I'll make a motion, because I don't want to believe this point, I'll make a motion to disapprove.
We have a motion on the table for disapproval of Contract 67. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Chair Hart. Again, this motion and this second is for disapproval of Contract 67. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Senator Meredith,
Display my yes vote, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Again, I believe that if this motion does pass, that it will be overturned by the Finance Cabinet, and the department will be able to proceed as they originally intended.
Senator Richardson? Senator Thomas?
Mr. Chair, I'd briefly like to explain my no vote.
Proceed.
Again, we have not allowed Dr. Stack to explain the purposes of this contract, what it's for, what it's intended to do, how he derived at this. Again, this seems to me to be a rush to judgment about a contract that we really don't know anything about. And so therefore, I can't at this point justify any I vote for disqualifying it. So therefore, I vote no.
Representative Bauman? Representative McCool?
No.
Representative Rourke?
No.
Representative Hart?
Yes.
Chairman Douglas?
I vote aye. This motion fails. With that being the case, the next motion on the table would be to consider contract 67 reviewed without objection. Do I hear a motion?
You do. I will move to accept this contract.
I have a motion by Senator Thomas.
Second.
I have a second by Representative Rourke. All in favor
M-
say
m-
aye.
m-
All opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith?
No.
Senator Richardson? Senator Thomas?
Yes.
Representative Bauman? Representative McCool?
Yes.
Representative Rourke?
Yes.
Representative Hart?
No.
Chairman Douglas?
No. Motion carries. Thank you very much for the presentation, but we still have two more. Thank you very much for the motion. Motion carries. Thank you very much for that presentation. We still need to address contracts 70 and 73. Senator Meredith? Well, we'll start with 70.
Has Commissioner been identified and sworn in?
Do we have up?
You snuck in?
Someone new. Oh, yeah. Nice job.
We just kind of snuck in there on you.
Madam Commissioner. Yes, if you would, again, make sure the green light's on. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Would you state your name for the record, please?
Lisa Lee, Commissioner for the Department for Medicaid Services.
Thank you very much. Senator Meredith?
Thank you all for being here this morning. I was trying to understand the relationship between these two contracts that I pulled, if there is a relationship. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? And 73 is for the actuarial services. And to me, that says this is what the services should cost. Does Milliman, not Milliman, but the Myers and Stauffer, do they use that report to prepare their report?
There are two different services. The Milliman contract deals with capitation rate setting for managed care organizations. They also help with the medical loss ratio and a variety of other products related to managed care capitation payments. Myers and Stauffer primarily does rate setting for the fee-for-service program, such as hospitals, federally qualified healthcare centers, and most of those are cost-based. So they determine those reimbursement rates and ensure that the cost reports submitted by those facilities are accurate.
Appreciate that explanation, but I'm still at kind of a loss, I guess, specific to Myers Stauffer, is how do they determine Medicaid rates for reimbursement unless they have an actual study to determine what the actual costs of the services are? How do they determine those rates?
So for the cost-based approach, which applies to a number of providers, there may be a rate schedule, but then at a delayed period, a year or two later, their actual costs, and some of it may be more contemporary than that. There's varies depending on the provider category. Their actual cost, they have to submit their actual costs they spent, and then they get reimbursed for those costs. So that's because the methodology prescribed is cost reimbursement, there's not the rate setting doesn't have the same impact. But now, if you had to set, if say MCOs had to pay for some of those services, which is not quite how that doesn't work that way. So yeah, it's complicated. So a lot of what they do is mathematical, just calculations, reviewing materials received, asking for verification that it was actually, sustained or that substantiated, and then calculating what they're actually owed and verifying that process. So that would be the cost-based approach. For like the fee-for-service schedule and things like that, that may be different, and I'll leave that to the
Which in
commissioners.
reality is an easier process than the other, I would think,
It's a l-
since
Well-
it's cost-based.
Yeah, one is cost-based, but the bigger difference is Milliman is actually doing capitation rate settings and analyzing our underlying data, submitted data, claims from the MCOs to determine what those capitation payments for the MCOs should be. They're not determining actual rates for reimbursement.
I would say another distinction is that Milliman, as you mentioned, is an actuarial firm, and they are required, according to federal law under 42 CFR 438, to certify from an actuarial standpoint the rates paid to managed care. Myers is an accounting firm, and they perform the cost-based rate development, which is different skills, different requirements. They're performing two different services.
And I get that we're talking about two different worlds. I'm a little bit surprised that the Myers Stoffers is the more expensive contract, to tell you the truth, and 5 times larger. But in developing the actuarial certified rates for managed care organizations, I'm not gathering how they determine those if they don't have some actuarial studies to say here's what the costs are. But I'm not going to argue the point. But once we receive this report, are the MCOs required to adopt those rates?
The managed care organizations sometimes tie their rates to the fee-for-service rate schedule. That's correct. So if they do, then it would likely flow down to what the managed care organizations pay providers. But managed care organizations can contract their rate reimbursement directly with providers. I think the other thing to note is that, for example, Myers develops rates for the nursing facilities. The managed care organizations, that's a fee-for-service population. Managed care organizations don't reimburse nursing facility.
Let me ask it another way. In a common complaint we get from providers, dentists, for example, say, we haven't had an increase in 2 decades. Surely, from one of these reports, it says we should be paying this, but we continue to pay this. So if we do that, what's the value of the reports? Other than meeting the federal requirement that you've got to do it.
Well, it's an interesting question. I think there's value because we should strive to know what the market would require to do, provide the services, but there's constraints, right? The same
I'd
thing.
want to know most certainly, but again, if and I don't think anybody can argue, and Dennis was the first one came up on mind.
Yeah.
We know that their rates, again, have not been increased for years and probably don't even cover the costs. That's why we have a shortage of dentists for Medicaid patients. So if we know what the rates should be, but we're not paying those rates, then what's the value of the rates?
But it does vary. I don't really feel we're in disagreement here. I think it's to what Senator Douglas says. This is the chance for the public to hear. Well, how do things get done? How do things work? So, take the waiver rates. We did a waiver rate study. Legislature directed that to be done. It was done. A new fee schedule was put in place in January of 25, and it relied on the work that was helped supported by a consultant like this. And those rates actually were implemented. So I think it really it depends on the specific provider, the specific circumstance. But your point is understood in that, okay, so we say we should pay him $100 and we pay him $30, and so why do we even do the study? Well, sometimes we get directed by the legislature. Sometimes we're required by federal government to do analysis to be able to demonstrate what we're doing or why we're doing it. And sometimes identifying that there is a real need and where we fall helps inform policy, right? It may be persuasive to the legislature in a budget session about, okay, like it was with the dentist, right? The dentist came back and said, hey, we need a rate increase. No one's disputing with them that their rates have room to grow. And the legislature took action and decided to, give resources to increase our rates. So, go ahead.
Yeah, what I would add is that the work that Myers and Stauffer does, for example, FQHCs, hospitals, those are all rate-based, and they look at those studies. Some of our fee schedules are based on Medicare. For example, we have a RVS. Chairman Douglas, I know you don't like acronyms. It's relative based something or another. But our physicians' fee schedule, for example, is based on a Kentucky-specific Medicare rate. And so those rates are determined based on that Medicare or based off of that Medicare fee schedule. Dentists do not have anything that we can base their rates on because Medicare does not cover dental. So those rates are determined based on certain methodologies. The cost-based hospitals, FQHCs, are all based on the actual cost of the services that those facilities do. And FQHCs, federally qualified healthcare centers and rural health centers, for example, also get an increase each year. It's a Medicare economic increase in MEI. And so Myers and Stauffer's helps calculate that MEI for them. So they're not really determining what the physician's fee schedule should be or maybe even a behavioral health fee schedule. They focus on the cost-based piece of the program.
Well, since you brought that subject matter up, it's well documented that we, being state and federal government, do not pay the full cost of care. So how do we tie that into these reports? I think historically Medicare pays 85% of cost, Medicaid about 80% of cost. So how do we take these reports and determine what we're going to pay?
Could be answered in the
Well, for again, trying to separate out the cost-based versus the regular fee schedules that are generally based on Medicare. For the cost-based, we follow what's required federally in how those cost reports are analyzed, what are appropriate expenses, the amount of those expenses, all that gets desk reviewed to ensure that there are specific requirements on how that cost is determined. I understand what you're saying completely, and for the fee schedules for the non-cost based providers that we tie to Medicare or have some other methodology, the best that we can do generally is we go out and we look what is the industry standard. So what is commercial paying? What is or other state Medicaid agencies paying? We do that analysis. We pull that information in. We take a look at it, and then within our budget, we make the decisions about what rates we can afford to pay.
Certainly understood. And a final question, Mr. Chair, if I could. Is there anything with either of these contracts that goes beyond the scope of what's listed here in terms of, is it strictly actuarial services and is it strictly rate setting, or are there any other requirements, particularly for a $33 million contract, beyond that?
As indicated in the contract, when we have legislation that we have to analyze for impact or forecasting that's need to be done, those are additional services. But other than that, everything is contained in the contract.
Well, as part of the rate setting, is it factored in network adequacy? Because in theory, if you don't have an adequate network, then you got to pay more for those providers. So is that factored in as well?
We actually have a separate required external quality improvement organization that is required by federal law. IPRO is who that organization is. They're the ones that are responsible for analyzing the provider network adequacy.
Well, but when they make that report, again, how these all interrelated, they make that report, and we find that we don't have network adequacy, even though the MCOs assure us that we have 90% compliance, which we know we don't. So how is that factored into any rate setting? Is it?
That is the department's responsibility to ensure access. So I think at any time we identify that there is a network issue, that conversation has to happen. Well, what is it that we need to do as a department as a Medicaid program to ensure that the providers are there and available to Medicaid members to access services? It would be incumbent upon us to make sure that we may have those conversations. Do we need to increase rates? That's not a decision that our contractors make. It's one that we have to. And they would help us understand, well, if we go up this amount, what is the impact to the program? But, that would mean additional funding that we might have to have, or considerations lowering rates somewhere else to increase rates to encourage additional providers.
Well, you've heard me often quote the statistic that 40% of our population is in rural Kentucky, only 17% of our primary care physicians there. So obviously that's not network adequacy. So how do we use this information to justify trying to fill that gap?
I think it's a great question.
Mr. Chair, I think it boils down to, and I appreciate y'all see value in this. I see it strictly from the standpoint that it's a federal requirement that we have to do it. So I won't belabor the point, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion to approve the contracts.
Motion's been made to approve, which are, well, actually, since I was already on the list to have a question before we address that motion, I'm going to ask my questions. The other thing is I have the gavel, so I can do that.
You are the chair.
Yes, sir. Two quick questions. When we're looking at, especially, I'm looking at contract 70 now because we're talking about the accounting firms, and we can also take a quick look at 73. But in terms of what we're spending and what we're paying these organizations, do we pay them based on the hours that they're spending, or the importance of the information?
It's based on hour.
Okay, that they're spending.
And there's a classification depending on who's working on it and their skill level.
Okay.
Is how it's invoiced.
Thank you. Second one is more of a statement, or I guess it really is a question. Back when the current governor expanded Medicaid, was there a look? Did we either do an actuarial look, or did we do an accounting look at what the base, because we expanded it into dentistry as well, correct? Yes, we did. That's okay. What if we don't know what their rates are? How do we know we can afford it? Because that was done. I'm being told that since dentistry it has not been included, we don't really follow their rates. Yet we had an expansion, and the public was told, oh, we can afford all this stuff, don't you worry about it. When in fact, our due diligence wasn't done to take a look at the rates those added carriers were asking for. So I'm trying to square those 2 points where we're not looking at rates, because obviously we didn't adjust dental rates because at least dentistry was then under that banner, but no one looked to adjust their rates during that period of time. And the only reason I'm asking that question is because I know that's what my dentists are going to ask me. Okay? I'm not pointing fingers. I'm saying we kind of missed the boat. We missed an opportunity to take a look at some of those things as well. Senator Thomas, quickly.
Well, I'll try to be as quick as possible, but I can answer your question. When expanded Medicaid first took place in the state, you have to go back to 2011. That's Governor Beshear number 1. Obama got that bill passed to Congress, and Kentucky was the first southern state to do it. Now, when that was done at that time, the states were allowed, the federal government agreed for the first 3 years to pay the total cost of the expanded Medicaid. So therefore, and of course that was during the period of the Great Recession, Kentucky incurred no cost whatsoever from 2011 to 2014 regarding expanded Medicaid. That was all picked up, 100%, by the federal government. Okay. Now we fast forward to 2015, the rules changed, but of course, at that time, by the end of the year, we had a new governor, Governor Bevins, and he rolled back significantly the cost of expanded Medicaid without taking into account what that would cost the state to do so. And therefore, because we had to pick up more costs because of his rollbacks, that did impact the kind of quality that Medicaid coverage could presume. So that's the history, and that answers your question, Senator Douglas, in terms of why we are in this position today. Because when we first accepted it, we didn't have to pay any costs. That was all included under the Affordable Care Act.
You have a question? Senator Meredith.
Some clarification here. I'm not talking about the expanded population. I'm talking about the standard Medicaid program. And I understand your position, but our inability to serve the traditional Medicaid population is what concerns me. And again, the expanded population under the Affordable Care Act is significantly lower than our traditional Medicaid population. So just wanted that clarification.
Thank you very much. We're going to need to keep moving on. I have other questions, but I'll make contact otherwise. Motion. Motion on the floor is for to consider contracts 70 and 73 reviewed without objection. That's the motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll. Do I have a second? I have a second from Representative Rourke. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Baumann, Representative McCool,
Yes.
Representative Rourke,
Yes.
Chairman or Representative Hart,
Yes.
Chairman Douglas.
Aye. With that being said, motion carries. I thank you all very
Thank you,
much
Mr.
for
Chair.
your time, and I thank you very much for the information. Next item on the pulled list from the Department of Education, they're number 127 on the routine personal services contract green list, and 514, 515, and 520 on the routine memorandum of agreement pink list. Let me make sure I'm in the right. I'll be with you in just a minute, ladies. I want to get my papers. Thank you very much for your patience. If you would, make sure your microphones are in place, make sure the green lights are on. If you would introduce yourselves for the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Karen Worth. I'm with the Office of Finance and Operations, Kentucky Department of Education.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Stafford, the Associate Commissioner in the Office of Assessment and Accountability at the Kentucky Department of Education.
Please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear the truth? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Well, With that being said, my apologies because there's a topographical error, and I want to make sure that I'm asking the right questions over the right contracts. Okay. Contract 127 has to do with a kindergarten readiness screener. Again, I've told people I'm the dinosaur. I'm the old school. What's the purpose of kindergarten?
The purpose of kindergarten is to prepare students as they move and progress through their education continuum, to prepare them more fully for what the education that they have and receive throughout their high school, elementary, middle, and high school career.
Is not to prepare them for first grade, because I know it's not going to prepare them for 12th grade.
It's a basic foundation on which all education then throughout their whole career is in even continuing in their life. We continue to be learners throughout our lives. So having a basic foundation as we move into kindergarten is important.
I guess, I get the kindergarten stuff. What's the purpose of first grade? Would we say it's the same? I know these questions sound like they're off the wall, but these are questions that no one's ever asked in the education system, or at least no one's ever asked from this committee. And again, I go back to what Senator Meredith has quoted earlier about our job as legislators here in the General Assembly. Kindergarten readiness. Does kindergarten readiness, would we expect that to start at home?
We would, exactly. We would, and the screener is to see where the student is as they enter into kindergarten.
But they're still going to enter. Are all children going to kindergarten?
Yes, and this screener is not whether or not they get admitted into kindergarten or not. It's a snapshot of where the student is as they enter into kindergarten, whether they are ready for enrichments, whether they're ready with just basic knowledge, or whether they need supports, whether they are maybe a little behind on where they should be coming into kindergarten. The screener is provides information to families, to educators, to administrators on where the student is as they enter in, so that they have a better knowledge of where the student and the supports that they need as they then begin their education.
Are our instructors unable to make those assessments now? Our kindergarten instructors, are they unable to make those assessments?
I think this is a formal way, a standardized way for our educators to get information about particular students.
So are our instructors unable to make those assessments? We can continue to give, to provide information. My concern is that we're going further down the chain in terms of where we enter the education of our children, as opposed to our expectation of our families to be able to interact and provide the children at a very, very early age some of their common knowledge. So my question is this: we're asking taxpayers, because this is coming out of everybody's pocket who is working gainful employment. My question is, it's still the same. They're going to be going to kindergarten, correct? Someone's going to be making those assessments at some point. And this is a sincere question. this is a very sincere question. I'm trying to find out why I'm taking money from my taxpayers to assess where someone is going into kindergarten when I have instructors who are in kindergarten preparing children for the first grade. Does it may not sound like a reasonable question for you all, but I'm trying to get a grasp on that.
Sure, and I understand the question, so thank you for that. With the kindergarten screener, it's it's a common screener across, so that if one kindergarten teacher may observe particular things that another kindergarten teacher may not. So it's sets a baseline, if you will, or a common observation for all of our students, so that if one teacher may not see some deficiencies that another teacher would, it provides a common knowledge or a common way to understand where the students are in relation to what they can do and know.
Representative Rourke, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and ask your question before I ask my next one.
Thank you, Chair. I guess my question is around the data that comes from knowing how many of our students are or are not kindergarten ready in the state. So could you explain more where the gaps are currently, about consistency, or even what other correlations we have started to kind of extrapolate from kindergarten readiness itself? I think in my experience in the legislature, we do a lot of things around correlations between if a student was not kindergarten ready, and then later if they are criminally involved or specific health outcomes. So I could imagine that there is a certain need to make sure that we're all using the same definition across the state, so that way our data can then better inform how to better intervene to make sure that our students are kindergarten ready, but also that we have better data down the line to know if these negative externalities that do cost the government a significant amount of money is correlated back to the start of the educational foundation.
Sure, those are good questions and research topics that could be investigated. We do provide the information to our pre-service or our preschool facilities, as well as parents and our educators. Now, the data is useful and informative to our education settings prior to kindergarten, so that they can see if their programs are preparing their students for kindergarten. Our parents can also, again, use that information for if they have other children, placement into those pre-kindergarten facilities or daycare centers, if you will.
Okay. And then just one brief follow-up, Chair, is that what exactly are we already assessing for to date? And then what are we asking in the contract that may be new for that assessment? What are we looking to learn?
So what we assess now are cognitive, academic skills. There is a twofold. It's a core assessment as well as a social behavioral assessment. There is language development, physical development, and so you may include questions about physical development, jumping, balancing, drawing different shapes and different forms, colors, whether they know their letters, their shapes, that kind of thing. There's also the self-help and socialization, social emotional. They provide information about what they can do as far as independence.
All right, thank you. That's all, Chair.
Thank you very much. Are there other questions? Okay, then I'll ask mine. You know, when we look at in the medical space, when we look at variability and development in our young people, physical, social, psychological, and all of those parameters, they're all over the board. with all due respect, the government doesn't pay for squat. And we always talk about, well, the government's got to pay for this. The government doesn't pay for squat. Taxpayers pay for it. Taxpayers. Working taxpayers. And even some of those who've already put their time in and still having money taken out are paying for it. I sometimes have a hard time wrapping my hand or my head around going further back up the pipe and saying we got to make sure that these kids are kindergarten ready. Kindergarten ready. Not first grade. Gosh, I always tell the story when I was in the first grade, I spent a lot of time under my desk. I thought it was an airplane. I probably would have had a horrible assessment to be kindergarten ready since I didn't go to kindergarten. And I think over time, my teachers, and I still thank my teachers who were dedicated, who took the time to help me learn. But I didn't do the kindergarten. So at some point, we need to have a conversation about how far up the pipe we need to go, because what we're getting out the other end doesn't show that we're making a lot of improvement, but we're putting a lot of money in and not seeing a great deal of improvement. And this is not a knock on you all. That's when I see these contracts, and these are questions that people in my district are asking. That's why I'm asking, right? I don't have a particular agenda other than what my constituents are asking me. And they're asking me, why do we have a kindergarten readiness? When there are a number of these kids who get to kindergarten, they can't tie their shoe. Doesn't mean they're developmentally delayed. It just means they're in kindergarten. So we're spending real money here. Real money, and I'm not sure that we're getting our money's worth for the real money that we're spending. Seldom do this, but I'm going to make a motion for disapproval of this contract. We're talking about kindergarten, remedial program of over $680,000 for kindergarten. So that's my motion. Do I hear a second? Second. I hear a second from Senator Meredith. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith,
Play my aye vote, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Appreciate y'all being here. Always, when you testify with this committee, you do a great job, and not trying to make your job difficult, your life difficult. But the reason I vote yes on this is we are spending just so much money that I really wish was directed more at the local level. So I think the more that we have teachers engaged and give them the resources to do that, the more success we'll have. And that's where I see an opportunity to shift this funding to that area, and we've got to change direction. So I'm a yes on the motion.
Senator Richardson, yes. Senator Thomas.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to explain my note.
Go ahead.
40 years ago this month, exactly 40 years ago this month, there was a book published that made the New York Times bestseller list. It reached the top 5, entitled All I Really Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. It's written by Robert Fulghum. And what Fulghum talked about in that book was that everything you learn in kindergarten, like sharing with others, playing fair, cleaning up, which goes to learning how to tie your shoes, and being kind, are lessons that you learn in kindergarten that are supposed to follow you the rest of your life. Somehow adults forget that, but that was his book. Okay. as again, it was extremely popular. You know, a million sellers, reached number 5 on the New York Times bestseller list. Okay. So kindergarten is obviously important in terms of how we learn lessons as adults that we should take for the rest of our lives. Now, half the states in this country today have said we want to transfer those values down to ages less than 5, 4, 3. Half the states do that now. Kentucky, unfortunately, and this is no fault of our governor, because he's pushed this, has tried to say we need to start learning those lessons of fairness, fair play, and sharing, and working with others and being kind, as 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds. So it's just patently clear to me that kindergarten is extremely important, as is pre-K, as in getting children in schools earlier, so they can learn these fundamental lessons that are supposed to carry us, as adults, working with others and doing the things that we need to do to build a community.
Thank you, Senator Thomas. I hate to cut you off.
Well, I'm done, but that's why I am clearly voting no on this motion.
Any other questions? We're doing the motion. You go ahead.
Representative Bauman, Representative McCool.
Can I explain my no vote, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I respectfully just happen to disagree with the comments that kindergarten is essential as a building block as each step they take, and so very important to have a good sound base foundation for our children to continue. If you don't have that, when they get into the first grade or the second grade, they're behind. And I just have to respectfully disagree and vote no.
Representative Rourke.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to briefly explain my no vote.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to vote no because I think, $680,000 in the grand scheme of the continuum of education is fairly nominal for, especially when it comes to kindergarten readiness. If we think about 0 to 5, how much learning is done during that time, it's pretty much the bulk of the rest of your life. Now, that's not to say that we cannot intervene or give more attention, but a good amount of your development happens between 0 to 5. I don't believe in passing kids along and just to pass them into a new grade, but I do think that we need to know how prepared they are when they enter the educational system to be able to know how to best serve them. And if they are experiencing some type of developmental delay or a disability, identifying that in kindergarten at as early as possible is truly imperative to making sure that our teachers have the right amount of resources to allocate to the entire classroom. If a child needs more individualized attention because of a disability, identifying that at the beginning of the year and being able to put them into a different type of program as soon as possible could really change the whole dynamic of the classroom and not keep teachers having to, spending time on behavioral issues or things that come with a disability or a mental disability as well. So that's why I'm voting no, and I do think it's important that we have a consistent screener to have consistent data, especially if we legislators are making decisions based on things that happen later in life and tying it back to the kindergarten readiness score or determination. So I'm voting no.
Thank you.
Representative Hart.
Let me give a brief explanation.
You vote first, please.
Okay. My vote's going to be no as well. I agree with a lot of what Representative McCool has said, but I'm voting no against this proposal. But we also need to be cognizant or aware. We put too much money towards administrative aspects of these programs and not enough money towards actually going to the students. And that's something that I think we, as not only a state government, but as a community nationwide, we need to start looking at cutting down our administrative cost, because the more it seems like every time we create a program or we create an avenue to assist with an important program like kindergarten, we create humongous amounts of more administrative cost. And that's where our taxpayers' dollars are being wasted on administrative cost and not actually going to the students. And that's my concern, but I do believe wholeheartedly with Representative McCool's sentiment, and that's why I'm going to vote no.
Chairman Douglas.
I vote aye, and I'm going to explain my vote. I agree with Representative McCool. This discussion has nothing to do with that. No one's ever said it wasn't important. No one. And I love it when we fall back on that argument. This is really, really, really important. Sometimes taking on responsibility means you got to take on more responsibility. And guess what? The people who are paying for it don't have any say in it. Put something out there and ask them if they think that's a great idea. We'll see where we go from there. You know, having a popular book doesn't make it accurate. Doesn't. And it doesn't make it good for us. And I can name any number of books, but I can't name them here. Kids need a good sound base. There's never been an argument about that. The question is, are we putting our money, as Co-Chair Hart has said, are we putting our money in the right place? That's a question that really needs to be answered. But given that fact, the motion for this contract carries, and it fails. I'm sorry. My apologies. It fails. So now the motion on the floor. Do I have another motion?
Motion to approve the contract.
I have a motion to approve.
And I resoundingly second.
Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith.
No.
Senator Richardson. Senator Thomas. Representative Baumann. Representative McCool.
Yes.
Representative Rourke.
Yes.
Representative Hart.
Yes.
Chairman Douglas.
No. With that being said, motion carries. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for that information. Let me see. We have the next one. It's actually from the pink. Is this in the group? Okay. Okay. Excellent. The next items are from the pink list. They're actually contracts 514 and 516. And if you would, make sure their microphone's on, make sure the green light is on. Please introduce yourself for the record.
Good morning, Mickey Marinelli, Chief Academic Officer, Kentucky Department of Education.
Thank you very much. Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Just a couple of quick questions on 514 and 515. Are these, and I'm finding this word used a lot, are these more remedial contracts or contracts for remedial work? Remedial educational work?
No, sir. So these contracts actually support more rigorous access to instruction around college readiness programming. So the first one is to Advance Kentucky. And this is a direct budget line item in House Bill 500. They get $1.9 million each year for the college readiness program. It supports teachers in professional learning who are teaching those advanced placement courses. It also supports student working groups for them to practice and have support in being able to, hopefully the goal is to pass those advanced placement exams. So that's the first one. They're supporting 37 districts and 40 high schools in fiscal year 27. The second one is Advanced Kentucky is a named partner as part of the Numeracy Counts Act, which was House Bill 162 in 2024. And this is for access to algebra. So there have been a lot of discussions about increasing access to algebra at the middle school level. So very similarly, Advanced Kentucky comes in, supports the teachers, grades 6 through 8 teachers in aligning their curriculum, and in supporting them and being able to effectively offer Algebra 1 to 8th grade students for not college credit, but for high school credit. And they're supporting 31 districts and 46 schools in this particular program in fiscal year 27.
Okay. You have a question from Senator Thomas?
Thank you. Ms. Reed, I'm going to tell you, your discussion on this couldn't be more timely. First of all, it's been shocking to me.
Senator Thomas, I apologize. We're going to be running out of time, so we're going to have to shorten some of our comments and just get to the questions.
Okay. It's been shocking to me how many students graduate from high school these days, and our graduation rate is very high, higher than national average, but they still don't know algebra. Okay. And just 2 days ago, we had an education committee. The education committee met, and we spent a half an hour talking about bringing algebra down to 8th grade. And I'm a strong proponent of this. And it seems to me that this is just another step in that direction that we heard in the education committee on Monday, that we need to start providing algebra in 8th grade. I'm strongly supportive of that effort, that approach, and therefore I'm strongly supportive of this contract. And I'm a yes on this contract.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Meredith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be brief. I want to thank you for your presentation before the Education Interim Joint Committee. Is this week? Time flies, man.
It was this week.
But excellent, and I think Senator Thomas alluded to this. Very startling information is presented to us. I think you mentioned 39 districts that don't have this advanced placement at all, and certainly needed. But I guess what's missing from the discussion the other day, but it's a common theme. It was noted that the disparities are most pronounced in rural and areas of poverty, which to me are one and the same. They're not mutually exclusive, but I wish we would start addressing the problem rather than trying to cure the disease otherwise. And I think we're treating symptoms, but I support what you're doing, and I would support this contract. Thank you.
Any other questions? I have a motion by Senator Meredith to have this contract approved. Or second somewhere. I heard Senator Thomas. There was one before then, but okay, I'll take Senator Thomas for the second. And this is contracts 514 and 515. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith.
Aye.
Senator Richardson. Senator Thomas. Representative Ballman. Representative McCool.
Yes.
Representative Rourke.
Aye.
Representative Hart.
Yes.
Chairman Douglas.
Aye. Thank you very much for the information. I really appreciate that. Well, first of all, we have one more question from Representative McCool. No, 520. Contract number 520. If you'll come back to the table, please. Are they? Okay. Okay, make sure your green light's on. Please introduce yourself for the record.
I am Vita Stewart. I'm the Director of Educator Recruitment and Development for the Kentucky Department of Education.
Thank you. Please raise your right hand. Solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. Representative McCool has a question for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to brief these up as quickly as possible because I know we're short on time. And I appreciate you being here today. What is the primary purpose of Teach for America? Is it to fill short-term gaps of critical shortage areas, or is it to bring individuals into the teaching in Kentucky and have them stay here?
I think it's dual. I think they are recruiting and retaining in high needs areas teachers initially for 2 years with the hopes of them continuing as educators in the state.
Mr. Chair, could I ask a couple more quick ones, please?
Quickly, yes, please.
Do these these teachers are recruited, do they have a subject area specialty, or are they applied to anywhere?
Of course, Central Appalachia is their focus, and there are certain areas, STEM and foreign language, that they consider high need subject areas where they are trying to recruit.
So you're talking about math and physics and those type of.
Those things, yes, in hard to fill areas.
I think we're divided up, but help me if I'm wrong here, but I think the legislators provide some support for a portion of them, but not across all of Kentucky. Is that true, or am I misunderstanding that?
My understanding is that they operate in Central Appalachia, Eastern Kentucky, and rural areas. So that is their defined area.
And one other question, Mr. Chairman. Would there be a possibility of getting feedback on how well this is, and how successful this has been? Are we retaining those teachers? Are they getting teacher certifications?
Yes, they are.
And what's that number? Do we have any idea what that would be?
Yes, I do. I mean, for the 24-25, which was their last reporting period, there were 35 teachers recruited and retained for that period of time.
For that period of time, are they staying?
Among those, I think it is, among those that were retained was 22. 22 of those were retained for the 24-25 reporting period.
Okay, I'm not sure that are they staying for longer than just their contract time? Are we keeping them?
The long term, so they get a provisional certificate.
Yes.
And so for the long term, let me see if I can find that other information.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. The certificate, are they getting teaching certificates and staying in Kentucky?
So from 2021 to 2022, there were 6 certificates that would issue to TFA, to Teach for America Pathway Completers. In 2022 to 2023, there were 5. In 2023 to 2024, there was 1, and in 2024 to 2025, professional certificates issued to TFA Pathway Completers was 1, for a total of, from 2019, a total of 24 that received professional certificates beyond the provisional.
For the state of Kentucky?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding that particular question? If not, do I hear a motion to consider contract reviewed without objection? Contract 520. Okay. I have a motion by Senator Thomas. A second by Representative Rourke. All those in favor vote aye. All those no. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith.
Aye.
Senator Richardson. Senator Thomas. Representative Ballman. Representative McCool.
Yes.
Representative Rourke.
Yes.
Representative Hart.
Yes.
Chair Douglas.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
The next item on the pulled list, I'm going to be moving to the Personal Services Contract Amendment list, Ivory, and we're going to be moving and looking at question 108 or contract 108. This is with the Kentucky Communications Network Authority. Yep, yep, yep. We'll also be addressing contract number 276 on our personal services contract green list. If you would, gentlemen, make sure that the microphone's pulled up, make sure that your green light is on, and please introduce yourselves for the record.
Good morning. Adam Adkins, General Counsel for Kentucky Communications Network Authority.
Thank you.
Jim Barnhart, Executive Director, KCNA.
Jason Johnson, Deputy Executive Director of KCNA.
Please raise your right hand, gentlemen. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you very much. I know that Senator Meredith has a question on number 108. Senator Meredith?
All due respect to Mr. Chair, I don't have a question. I have a comment. It's just a follow-up on our discussion last month. I think we spent too much money on this firm to begin with, and we've not gotten the results that we should have. You know, I'll quote Judge Philip Shepard, who said that we spent over millions of dollars in public funds on litigation and got nowhere. And to ask for additional funding for anything for this firm, I think is ridiculous. You've already noted that we're spending $3 billion this month alone on taxpayers' dollars for services, and we should be getting value for those services. We are not. So I don't have any questions. I would present a motion to disapprove this contract.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. The motion on the table is for disapproval of this contract. Clerk, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith.
Aye.
Senator Richardson. Senator Thomas.
Once again, I don't have enough information as to say why I should disapprove this contract. I mean, I haven't heard anything about what they've done or what they haven't done, anything that would suggest that they're acting incompetently. So therefore, I vote no.
Representative Ballman. Representative McCool. Representative Rourke.
No.
Representative Hart.
Yes.
Chairman Douglas.
Aye. Because we didn't, this vote fails. So with that being said, this vote fails. So with that being said, I have a few questions I need to ask. Have the funds from the contract that you were recently awarded already been spent?
Which fiscal year are you talking about? So the modification, 108 is a modification to the fiscal year that just ended, and we had to amend the contract to pay necessary expenses that we already had incurred. And then the new contract, that's 276 for the next biennium. So obviously we have not had any, other than this month, I guess will be accruing.
The current contract, the one you're asking for today.
Going forward, yes.
Right. But the monies for the previous contract have already been spent.
Yes.
Could you help us out with and not only the amount, but the period of time? How much money has been spent over time in legal fees in this space?
In the fiscal year that just ended?
No.
Since the contract in 2018?
Yes.
I think about $5 million.
And you're asking for 3.5 today?
Well, that's the contract that just ended. So that's to pay expenses we've already incurred, which ended June 30th last week. The one going forward, we're back to the 1.8 million that it's been for the last two bienniums and to be for this biennium going forward.
I'm looking at an increase of $656,000.
Right. That's the modification. That was to pay expenses that we'd already incurred that ended June 30th. Proper accounting and to be in compliance with the state's accounting system is you pay for services against the contract for the year the services were rendered. So we had some additional invoices come in that were done for May and June of 2026. So we had to pay them against a contract that ended June 30th, 2026. So that's why we had to increase the amount of that contract.
Is there expected to be some negotiations regarding this contract on June 24 or 25 of this month?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand your question.
I think, isn't there expected to be mediation?
Yes, that's in 2 weeks.
That's in the underlying wholesaler agreement, not in the legal services agreement. So the underlying litigation will be mediated in 2 weeks, but not for this contract here. Their legal services will be
Correct.
required in that mediation.
So this contract sets you up to continue what you're doing.
A payment vehicle to pay, yes.
Any other questions? Okay. There are no other questions. And this is only on contract 108.
Motion disapprove.
I have a motion to disapprove this contract. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Because I was going to. Okay. We have a second. There's been on the table motion to disapprove this contract. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bauman, Representative McCool,
Yes.
Representative Rourks,
No.
Representative Hart,
Yes.
Chairman Douglas.
Yes. Motion carries. Motion for disapproval of contract carries. Gentlemen, thank you all for coming in this morning. Thank you for the information. Okay. We're now going to move to a second contract. I just simply had a question. It was a renewal of contract to provide legal services relating to the Kentucky Wired, including drafting contracts and agreements, legal research, advice regarding public-private partnerships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm still seeing the amount of $475. I know that offends some people when I bring them in. I just want you to explain to us why so much more over the contracts we normally put out.
Sure.
For legal.
So this contract was originally awarded back in 2018 at $375. They served at that rate for a few years. 2 years ago, they had requested an increase. Generally, these personal services contract oftentimes include a 5% incremental increase. This one did not. We negotiated at $475 per hour. That's about a 15% discount from what a 5% increase per year would be. The national average for legal services for a firm this size, that's on the very low end. National average is somewhere between $400 and $800. This is on the low end of the national average for a firm of this size. And the boutique firm that Ice Miller is, they can provide any number of specialized services that this project would require. They can offer bond counsel, they can offer contract counsel, they have and they're best known for their broadband counsel, and we have one of the most preeminent broadband attorneys in the country.
Okay. Thank you for the answer. Again, we're looking at contract 276. Do I hear a motion to consider this contract renewed without objection?
Motion disapprove.
I hear a motion to disapprove.
Second.
And I hear a second. My Co-Chair Hart. Okay. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas,
No.
Representative Bauman, Representative McCool,
No.
Representative Rourks,
No.
Representative Hart,
Yes.
Chairman Douglas.
Aye. Yeah. Motion fails. Do I hear a motion to review the contract without objection then? Do I hear a motion to approve the contract? I hear a motion from Senator Thomas. Second from Representative Rourke. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith,
No.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bauman, Representative McCool,
Yes.
Representative Rourke,
Yes.
Representative Hart,
No.
Chairman Douglas.
No. Motion carries. Contract moves forward. I think that's all we have. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Next item on the pulled list is with Northern Kentucky University, number 482 on the routine personal services contract green list. Thank you all for waiting. Make sure your green lights are on. Introduce yourselves for the record, please.
Christopher Calvert, Chief Financial Officer for Northern.
I'm not sure your green.
Oh, sorry. Christopher Calvert, Chief Financial Officer for Northern Kentucky University.
Thank you.
Jenny Sand, Executive Director of Government and Community Relations for Northern Kentucky University.
Okay, thank you very much. I have received some of your written literature, and I certainly appreciate that. The contract says for marketing and recruiting. Could you expand on that just a little?
Yes, the RisePoint does recruiting for some of our specified online programs. So they do the digital marketing for that. So they place digital ads that students respond to, and if students register through that marketing, then we pay a share of our revenue to RisePoint.
Could you explain that fraction, that proportion?
Yes. So if a student is recruited by RisePoint and they end up registering, we pay a share of our tuition that we collect from that student, less any discounts, and we also do not pay for a student if that student's tuition is waived. There's a number of waiver programs in the state of Kentucky. So if the student has tuition waived because they qualify for one of those programs, then we do not pay RisePoint for that. So we only pay that difference. And most of our programs are now at a 47% revenue share rate. So we pay them 47% of that net tuition.
So there have been some adjustments over time.
Yes. When the program was started, most of the programs were at 50%, and over time we have reduced that down to 47%.
Okay. Any other questions? Motion to approve from somebody. Okay.
Second.
And I have a second from Co-Chair Hart. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bauman, Representative McCool, Representative Rourke,
Aye.
Representative Hart,
Yes.
Chairman Douglas.
Aye. Thank you very much for coming in today. I've had multiple conversations with people since I pulled this contract, and it was aye. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the pull list is from the Department of Highways, number 15 on the personal services contract amendment Ivory list. Make sure your green light's on. Introduce yourself for the record.
Good morning, Co-Chair Douglas and members of the committee. I'm Eric Pelfrey, Director of the Division of Professional Services for the Transportation Cabinet. I'm also joined virtually by our project manager for this contract. Natalie, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, Natalie House Lewis. I'm an engineer with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet.
You know, Eric, it's always wonderful to see you today, and or every day. But I owe you and your staff an apology. I didn't pull the contract.
Well, happy to be here as always.
But I really don't have a question.
Okay.
But you're here, and I don't have to swear you in because I'm not going to ask you any questions. But again, I'm looking at some of the paperwork, and when people see me not looking at you and feverishly looking to my right and left, I'm making sure that all the numbers, and I will take that as a bump on the head. So I apologize for having you come and having your staff be ready.
It's always a pleasure to be here, though. Thank you for the service you provide as well.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Yes. Motion's been made to approve the contract by Co-Chair Hart. I'll second that. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith.
Aye.
Senator Richardson. Senator Thomas. Aye. Representative Bauman. Representative McCool.
Yes.
Representative Rourke.
Yes.
Representative Hart.
Yes.
Chairman Douglas.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Eric.
you.
And tell your staff thank them very much for me.
Will do.
please.
Yes, sir. Thank you all as well.
Thank you. Make sure your green light's on.
We're good.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Scott Baker, Executive Director, Office of Facility Development and Efficiency.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, guys.
Thank you very much for being here. I'm going to have to say the same thing to you that I said to Eric.
It's always a pleasure to
My
come
name,
visit
my
you
name's
guys.
name's getting attached to things, and I'm not either. I'm making some mistakes, which happens frequently.
As busy as everyone is, it's certainly understandable. So,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Because you're here, we're still going to have to take a vote on the contract. Do I hear a motion? I'll make a motion to approve the contract. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I got a second from Senator Meredith. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith.
Aye.
Senator Richardson. Senator Thomas. Representative Bauman. Representative McCool.
Yes.
Representative Rourke.
Yes.
Representative Hart. Chairman Douglas.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Contract passes. Thank you very much. Next item on the pulled list is Kentucky State Fair Board. It's number 113 on the Personal Services Contract Amendment Ivory list. And do we have anyone here for that? Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Proceed, Senator Meredith.
There none being here, I'd like to speak to this contract anyway.
Please.
Getting very conflicting information is what's going on here. In our board packet that we received, the explanation is, excuse me, let me find it. Contract 113. Rescind contract renewal due to the Kentucky Supreme Court decision, yada, yada, yada. So that's why I asked us to be pulled to discuss that. And we've invited folks from the Finance Cabinet to come, and they says there is no contract. Well, there is no contract, then why are we being asked to rescind a contract? And we asked representation from the Fair Board to be here, and they were told by the higher-ups, don't show up. The Finance Cabinet also said they're not going to appear because they weren't given more than 48 hours notice, and I didn't know that was a requirement for anybody who had to be for this committee, but to that end, I think they could have accommodated us to some degree. So we're in complete loss as to what's going on in this situation. I know it's received a lot of attention in the press, and I think it needs to be reviewed in more detail. But again, no one's here to do that. But it's very disturbing that this action was taken, particularly with a a board that's been very successful over the years, and an executive director who's been very successful at expanding the revenues for our state fair and convention center to record levels, but yet they're all terminated, he's terminated, and I think we've got a situation that's just in chaos. And I think it's particularly disturbing to me because our state fair, which is just around the corner, you know, its origin was because we wanted to highlight agriculture, and that's been its history. And now we're not able to do that. And without some explanation to rural Kentucky as to what's going on and why these actions occurred, in a apparent move away from agriculture as a major focus of our events in the state fair and our convention center, we need some answers. We deserve some answers. We're not getting any of that, and that's very disturbing. So I'm disappointed that the finance captain's not here to give some explanation. I'm disappointed the state fair board's not here for some explanation, but given circumstances, I'm not surprised because as we know, this administration historically does not want to communicate with our legislature. But with that said, that's my rant for today, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Meredith. Senator Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Last time I took a brief look at this case because it's a very recent case. And what the Supreme Court said, the Supreme Court decision, said that the governor, as the chief executive of our state, has the authority to reconstitute boards and reconsider them by virtue of his position. And my understanding that because the Supreme Court gave or confirmed that authority upon the governor, this action is certainly legal and appropriate. And if the governor reconfigures or reconstitutes a board and someone has to go off, then that's his decision or her decision. And the court says that should be not only respected but authorized. So, that's my reading of the bill, and there's nothing done here that's unlawful or unconstitutional, and so therefore, the governor acted, and that's it, in my opinion.
Mr. Chair, if I could, just want to remind the senator that this action is being appealed, so it's not a done deal yet. And certainly the governor has the authority according to Supreme Court decision. It may change upon appeal, but just because he has that authority doesn't mean he has to replace a board that has been wildly successful, as well as an executive director who's been wildly successful. And it appears to be politics at its worst, and it's very disturbing. And I think he's just premature in his actions, particularly since it's going to be appealed.
Representative Rourke?
I just wanted to make sure I was understanding correctly that the Supreme Court decision that we're talking about, Bashir versus Coleman, is resulted in the fact that our legislatively passed HB 518 was found to be unconstitutional. So I think a lot of this issue does go back to a bill that was passed by the legislature that then has been found to be unconstitutional, and now we're in this situation where we're a month out from the state fair and have a lot of chaos going on. So I do think when I acknowledge, obviously, that this is a pressing matter, but also this goes back to legislation that we passed that was then found to be unconstitutional. And so I think we have to be really cautious when we're passing legislation to make sure that we're not overstepping our legislative authority into other branches of government, because then we're resulting in these no-win situations that are just bad for everybody.
Thank you very much. Coach Hart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a lot of issues concerning this contract, and we've expounded on some of them. But the overall issue with me, which I think is more pressing and more concerning, is the fact that we are a statutorily established committee, and we've got members of the executive branch refusing to come in front of us to discuss a contract. To me, that's insulting, and it infuriates me, because we are established to give oversight. We don't pick and choose. We don't bring people in here just so we can beat them up or anything, but we do have a right to understand the contracts and understand the specifics of the contracts so that we can make a decision. And although a lot of our decisions, the majority of our decisions, are just that. They're statements because the finance cabinet has the ability to override us. So there's even issues with that. But I've been on this committee for quite some time, and I'm serving under my second governor, and I've never ever seen anyone refuse to come in front of this committee to explain a contract. So the fact that we've got not only got the Fair Board and the Finance Cabinet refusing to come in front of us, to me that needs to be addressed. So with that, I would like to make the motion to defer this until next month and have a conversation with them and explain to them statutorily, and I'm not an attorney, so the attorneys can correct me if I'm wrong, but since we're statutorily established to do oversight, I would think they would be statutorily responsible and required to come talk to us. So with that, I make my motion to defer it until next month.
Second.
I have a motion to defer this contract until our next meeting, and I have a second by Senator Meredith. With that being on the table, all those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed say nay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith,
I'm a yes vote and like to explain my vote, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Certainly some precedents are being set here, the Supreme Court decision. We've had to deal with this before. One thing that disturbs me greatly, and Representative Co-Chair Hart has made reference to this, is we are duly elected to represent the constituents of Kentucky. We are elected. But even though we may find a contract deficient and disapprove it, it can be overturned by an individual who is not elected at all. And I don't think that under that scenario that the welfare of the Commonwealth is ever served. We have attempted to address that as well. And again, the state Supreme Court says, no, you can't do that. Excuse me, I don't think it went to the Supreme Court or with the district court, but they said, no, you can't do that. So if the voices of the people are not going to be heard, maybe we're going to have to take some remedial action, and I think there needs some accountability. So again, that's why I voted for this contract. Thank you.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas.
I want to be very clear in my no vote. Our system of government is set up with three quote-unquote branches of government: the legislature, the executive, and judiciary. Now, we've already been admonished just a short time ago by the Supreme Court regarding the limits we have on our authority in invading the judicial branch. And the court made it very clear that they have authority over their judicial branch, and that should always be respected and honored by this court. Now, we need to tread lightly because the executive also has their co-equal branch of power as well. Okay, and that should be honored and respected by us. This Supreme Court again made it clear that the governor is the chief executive of this Commonwealth and has executive power over boards and commissions and appointments. And the court made clear that whoever the governor is has the right to reconfigure and recompose boards as he or she sees fit. We should tread lightly and not invade that area, because the court has made it clear that we're just a co-equal branch of judiciary, or along with the judiciary, along with the executive, and we are no more powerful than they are. I vote no on this.
Representative Baumann, Representative McCool,
Yes.
Representative Rourke.
I'm going to vote no, and I'm going to briefly explain why. It's my understanding, because the Supreme Court said that the board was unconstitutional, that is why there is no contract to actually be deferred. So also with our next meeting being August 11th, if I'm not mistaken, and the Kentucky State Fair starting on the 20th, I don't think that this is where those folks need to be at that time. So I'm going to vote no on deferring.
Representative Hart.
Yes, I'd like to explain my vote.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman. I want to emphasize one thing. My motion to defer has nothing to do with the contract. My motion to defer has everything to do with the fact that we respectfully asked them to come in front of us and to explain. They could have come in front of us and explained there was no contract, but they chose not to. They ignored us. They showed us no respect because we are a separate branch of government just like theirs. This has nothing to do with the actual contract and what's going on with this. This is an issue that has to, they can't turn their face up at us. You know, we're established statutorily. We're not here because leadership in the legislature decided to have this committee. This committee was established by law, and that law's been upheld, and we've been meeting forever, just like other statutory committees. So I just want everybody to realize the deferring this is giving them an opportunity to come and tell us there's no contract. But they don't have the right to just turn their nose up and snub us because they don't want to come and talk to us. And that's the purpose of the deferment. And the other thing I would point out, you know, it was mentioned that this is 10 days, 9 days before the fair starts, and they should be taking care of the fair. Well, they had the opportunity to come and take care of this in July, and they chose to ignore us and refuse to come. So now they're going to have to bite the bullet as far as I'm concerned. I vote yes.
Chairman Douglas.
Aye. With that being said, this the contract, the motion carries. Contract will be deferred. Next item on the pulled list is with the Kentucky Public Service Commission, and it's number 34 on the Personal Services Contract Amendment Ivory list, number 34. Co-Chair Hart has some questions. Thank you all for coming in today. I make sure that your green lights are on. If you would introduce yourselves for the audience.
Good morning. My name is Linda Bridwell. I'm the Executive Director at the Public Service Commission.
My name is Ron Parrott. I'm Deputy Executive Director at the Public Service Commission.
Please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Co-Chair Hart has a few questions.
Thank you. This is more, I want to read you, this is more to give you all an example to explain some things because I'm not real sure. But I'd like to read to you the contract description that we're provided just to kind of give you a little context of where my question's coming from. What it says in our little synopsis, it says provide funds for legal representation for complaints to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission related to AEP zonal transmission rates for supplemental projects allocated to Kentucky. As somebody that's not in this industry, that's very hard for me to understand. And so I'd like to give you all an opportunity to explain to us what's actually going on and help us understand it. And, you know, some of the things as I read this, you know, are we defending American Electric Power for changing or charging higher rates, or what does the contract do? Just give us an explanation and try to help me understand it.
Okay. Thank you, Representative Hart. And I apologize. I did not see the explanation before it came, and I will certainly provide the direction back to our staff to make sure
that's
we're
fine.
So the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission regulates the interstate energy power, and so the AEP, which is the parent company of Kentucky Power, has transmission facilities that go across state lines, and they have a tariff for how they are allowed to allocate those costs, and they supersede anything that the Kentucky Public Service Commission rules for in-state regulation of Kentucky Power. So this, along with General Coleman's office, we have filed a complaint at the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission about that tariff that allows them how they allocate those charges, because we believe it's costing Kentucky Power customers up to $15 million more than it should through this. So this entire legislation, it's a very specialized field to get legal services to represent you in front of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And so that's this whole contract we started in 2024 as part of that complaint. And this was, unfortunately, we were denied. In November of 25, we asked for a rehearing. That was denied in January, and we filed an appeal this past February in the U.S. Sixth Circuit Court. And so this is a continuation of that lawsuit.
That helps greatly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions by anyone on the committee?
Motion
No?
approved.
Okay. Motion by
Second.
by Senator Meredith, second by Co-Chair Hart. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Baumann, Representative McCool,
Yes.
Representative Rourke,
Yes.
Representative Hart,
Yes.
Chairman Douglas.
Aye. The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Last item on the on the pulled list is with the Council of Post-Secondary Education. It's number 161 on the routine memorandum of agreement pink list. We do have a representative here. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Leslie Brown. I'm the Assistant Vice President of Operations.
Thank you very much. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Representative McCool has a question for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for being here today. And just for some clarification, are all CPE employees contracted through outside agencies?
No, CPE has currently 115 employees. Only 4 of those are contracts with outside agencies.
Okay. When you hire somebody from an outside agency, do you pay a fee for that to the
Not-
agency that you got them from, or not?
No, not typically. When we contract with outside agencies, it is to fulfill a need of both parties, especially since we're starting with the K through 12 pipeline, trying to get them into post-secondary and then onto the workforce. So a lot of the employees, such as this one with Kentucky Department of Education, actually benefits both the Kentucky Department of Education and CPE, and there are no fees assessed with this contract.
No fees going to KDE or anything like that? from
No,
CPE?
there is money on the contract for payouts should the employee retire while they are with KDE, and CPE would be responsible for their proportionate share of any payouts related to that retirement, according to state policy.
So when they do come over, do they get a huge increase for their salaries?
No, not typically. Typically, if they get an increase, it would be in line with other job titles that they are taking on with the CPE. I don't really remember with this particular one because this particular staff has been part of CPE for a number of years, but I do know with one recently that we did, I think the increase was maybe 5%, and that was just to get them in line with other staff at CPE.
Okay. Well, and I'll just get to the point, and this is not about this individual. My concern is with retirement spiking, and when people get into another area, they get promotions, they get huge raises, and especially if we're connected with teachers' retirement, and we're working very hard, this legislative body is, to try to fill that bucket. And then when you have spiking going on, you really have people punching holes in it almost quicker than you can fill the bucket. And we're still a long way away from, and it's really important to fill this bucket for retirement because our teachers deserve to know that their retirement is going to be solid.
Yes.
And we don't need someone coming in there not taking away from what they can do. But if they can, if they're at retirement age and they take on another job, there's many other retirement options that they can do. But to spike it is a concern to me. I'd be very clear.
And we do understand that. This individual actually was a reduction of the contract from previous year because in the previous contract period, they had taken on additional duties. Those duties no longer existed, so this contract was actually a reduction from last year. To put your mind at ease on that particular point with this contract. However, as far as I know, and I will have to get you specifics, I do not know of any large increases with the staff that were brought on through this method. The most I know of that I can think of is around 10%, and that was just to get them in line with CP employees.
Well, I appreciate that. And I would like some further information at some point in time about how many people you have still connected with teachers' retirement, and is that jump going up drastically?
Yes. There are 4. I will tell you, there's only 4.
4, okay. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Representative McCool. With that being concluded, do I hear a motion to have this contract reviewed without objection? I'll make a motion.
Second.
I have a second by Senator Meredith. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Baumann, Representative McCool,
Yes.
Representative Rourke,
Yes.
Representative Hart,
Yes.
Chairman Douglas.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
It carries. It passes. Now take a moment to review items number 12 and item number 13 on your agenda. Is there a motion to approve same? I have a motion from Senator Meredith, a second by Chairman Douglas. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Meredith. Aye. Senator Richardson. Senator Thomas. Representative Bauman. Representative McCool.
Yes.
Representative Rourke.
Yes.
Representative Hart.
Yes.
Chairman Douglas.
Aye. The motion carries. Before the adjournment, I want to announce that the next meeting of the Government Contracts Committee is going to be on, during August, it will be on Tuesday, August the 11th at 9 o'clock, Tuesday, August the 11th at 9 o'clock in this very room. Do I hear a motion for adjournment? There's been a motion